Welcome to the Auction Block Podcast, straight talk from the block. Welcome your host, Garrett Riles and Benjamin Bishop.
Welcome to the Auction Block, straight talk from the block. I'm your host, Garrett Riles, and I'm here today, as always, with my co-host, Benjamin Bishop.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in again. We've covered the buyer's side in the first two episodes, but today we're going to flip the script and talk to the sellers.
That's right. Episode 3 is all about prepping your equipment for it to bring top dollar at auction. Whether it's tractors, trailers, trucks, or tools, a little prep work can make a huge difference.
And to help us kick things off, we've got a special guest joining us early in the show, a good friend and seasoned auctioneer, Chad Brantley. He's seen it all, and he's here to share some insight on the auction.
Chad, welcome to the Auction Block. It's good to have you on, and I appreciate all your help over the years working with us and coming to our sales and working there. Just thank you for coming on to the show today.
I appreciate y'all allowing me to come and join y'all's show. It's always good to talk to people that love the auction business.
Yeah.
Let's jump in. What made you decide to become an auctioneer, Chad? What got you started?
Well, several years back, I was helping with a Ducks Unlimited banquets and stuff. We had an auctioneer that couldn't show up, and so a buddy of mine says, "You want to try it?" So I said, "Sure." So I done it, enjoyed trying to do it, and like I said, it was a lot of fun. And I guess I come home and I told my wife, I think I want to go and try to become an auctioneer. I always enjoyed going to the cow sales when I was young, and other auctions around about every now and then, and just got into it that way, and had a lot of friends and that was in the auction business, and took off from there.
Well, I appreciate you coming, and you make that sound like that was just a week or two ago. You told me before the show that you went to school in 2001, so you've been doing it for quite a few years now. This ain't something you just decided to start doing here recently, is it?
No, I went to auctioneer school in 2001. Started working equipment sale and checking in equipment and as a ringman. And then got on at a car auction and as a ringman, and worked as a ringman for a very long time. And then I had a couple people give me a chance but get behind the microphone, and it went from there.
What do you think separates a successful auction from a flop? Like, from your point of view as the guy calling the sale, what kind of stands out as a good successful auction as to one that just kind of bottomed out and didn't ring no bells?
Advertisement, getting your equipment out in advertising, having your equipment ready to go, cleaned, having everything, just really getting out and advertising equipment. When it gets on the auction block, make sure it's clean, ready to go where people can see, nothing's hid. The energy at the auction, dealing with people that own the auction, that they are good people. The energy, the auctioneer, everybody being in a good mood, and it trickles down, having good ring guys that interact with the crowd and keep those people bidding and keep them I guess on the edge of the seat, and it's just the energy that's there.
Well, that's good. That's gold, really. Stick around with us, Chad, because in the next segment we're gonna dive into seller tips and preparation, and we want to take on what really moves the items and the equipment, what moves the needle, I guess you could say.
Yeah. First impressions matter. So Garrett, Let's go over some of those first impressions there.
Your first impression's your last impression. A lot of times, that's what I've always been told. And you want your equipment to look good when it hits the auction block.
Yeah, you wouldn't try to sell a muddy truck full of tools in the seat, and same goes for equipment. I mean, you spend the time to spit shine that thing. It'll pay off in the long run.
Yeah. There's a catch-22 there. You want to get it clean, you want to degrease it, make it look nice, make it look presentable, make it look like something you would want to go purchase yourself. And there's a fine line there between too clean, looks like you're overly doing it a little bit.
Trying to hide some of the other flaws, maybe.
Yeah, but then there's also the fact that you didn't clean it, or you don't take care of it. So there's a fine line there. You don't have to go over the top, but just good solid wash job and dusting the cab out and make it look presentable.
Yeah. Just your typical maintaining, cleaning will give a good presentation, and that presentation is what counts.
Yep. Chad, what's your thoughts on it?
I'm like you, Garrett. First impression is always the last impression. It's just like selling anything. If you go out and the person looks at something right off the gate and they say, "Man, that thing's clean," as they looking at it, that first impression was clean. That's positive. And as they keep looking, just say they find something might be minor wrong with it, but they always gonna go back to that very first impression. Man, that thing's clean. So that positive, a lot of times, will overtake the negative that they find in something.
That's right.
And when something's clean like that and it's ready to go, it's liable to bring twice as much as what it would bring when that one is dirty or not clean or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. That first impression, man, that sticks with the buyer all throughout the day. And that kind of moves us into our next segment here, and that's fix what you can and disclose what you can't.
Yeah.
Garrett, elaborate a little bit on that for us.
We're not telling you to go out there and just drop a bunch of money on your equipment to try to get it ready. It don't have to be pristine, perfect in every which way, but small fixes, batteries dead, fuel line leaking, just small stuff like that, stuff that can be fixed pretty easily. We encourage you to do that if you can before you bring it to the auction. It really helps a lot, and we have guys on staff that will help you do that if you can't do it, far as washing it, cleaning it, tidying up small ends that need to be repaired. So take advantage of that too. We can do it. It's better if you can do it yourself, but if you can't, we've got guys that can, and it really helps at the end of the day for your equipment to bring a little bit more money.
That's right. And when something's wrong with your equipment, tell us up front. It's better to be honest up front and give us a heads up, because, man, transparency, it builds trust, and it encourages more aggressive bidding. If there's some minor things, or even if there's a major issue, and it's just too much that you don't want to put into the equipment, if you're upfront and honest about that, somebody out there may say, "Hey, that's the task I'm willing to tackle. It's not that big of a deal to me, or this, it's still going to be a good deal if I put that money into fixing that." And so if you're upfront and honest about even the minor or the major issues, man, it just gives the buyer some confidence, saying, "Hey, if they're willing to tell me about this part of it, then they're going to be honest about the rest of it." So Chad, what's kind of your thoughts on that?
You're 100% right. It's like, a guy was selling a skid steer, and as we were selling it, he pointed it out, and we made it, put it on the description that it would, had a hydraulic leak. And, everybody trusted this guy, and we had it on video and told everybody up front, as we started bidding on it. People still started bidding on it because they trusted him, because they pointed out what was wrong with it, they still went away with, a piece of equipment that had a hydraulic leak on it. They was, at a great price. They was happy, because they was, and that's the reason people want to come back and do business again with the Riles family, because they disclose everything that they know.
And that I think that machine was in Holly Springs back in the winter sale. We had January sale. That machine was leaking fuel out the belly of it, and we got to it. We told them, "Hey, look, it's a nice machine. It was clean as could be, but it had a leak underneath the belly of it." And we announced it, and it stood just as tall, knowing the leak was on it, as if it. So that's not telling them. It's better off just to be straightforward with the people, because they'll take that to heart and trust you more, and they'll be willing to spend more money because they know you're not jacking around with them.
Yeah, fix what's obvious, disclose what isn't. I mean, that's the rule. Nobody expects perfection. That it is an auction, but they do expect honesty. And if you're upfront and honest, and you tell them, what you feel like, or what you discovered, is a leak, or is a miss, or whatever on the equipment, then people know what to expect in that final deal. They know what to expect as far as repairs or maintenance that may need to be done after the gavel drops. And so, fix what's obvious, disclose what isn't. That's the rule, and that's a good rule to stick to.
That, like I said, even a dead battery, or even a low of fuel, runs out of fuel, that'll make a man walk. So when you get your equipment to the sale, make sure it cranks, make sure the battery's charged, make sure you got fuel in it, because anything like that, that don't let something small cost you, because that'll make a man walk away.
It really will. And that's kind of funny. I go to these auctions a lot, and they'll drag one in on a chain. It ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
You can tell them that, and auctioneers have gotten a rap of not being trustworthy over the years, and we're trying to change that as much as we can. But I mean, the buyers are not going to take that in. They're not going to believe you when you say, "Oh, it's out of fuel." It's always worst case scenario in their eyes. So it's better just to have it topped off with fuel, topped off with oil. Make sure your batteries are good. Do your few little minor maintenance checks before you even take it to the sale.
Yeah, even if it's a rough running machine, if it's running, it's going to bring a little bit better value than if it's just sitting there dead. Yeah. And so batteries and fuels are kind of two key components there.
And like Stan says, it don't take a pretty woman to cook a good meal. Same way with the equipment. It don't have to be pretty to be good, but if we know something's wrong with it, we're going to tell you about it up front and just be straight honest with you.
That's right. So if you've got maintenance logs, bring it. Paperwork on engine work, print it out, bring it. All of those documentations add value to your equipment, whether it's tractors, whether it's skid steers, whether it's tracos, whatever it is. Whatever kind of maintenance logs, whatever kind of paperwork you've got, bring it with the equipment. That speaks volume to a buyer. It says, hey, this guy here, not only was he concerned about making sure his equipment was running and running right so that he could make money with it, but he was detailed enough to keep track of it. And if somebody's detailed enough to keep track of it, that means they're treating their equipment right.
We had that happen at the last sale we had in Hickory Flat a month and a half ago. A guy brought in a tractor. He brought in his whole fleet of all of his equipment, and his tractors, in the owner's manual, he had it all wrote down, every oil change, everything. And you really see that a lot talking about the paperwork and engine work on big trucks. If you tell them it's got a rebuild on the engine, the guys that are looking for semi trucks, they really like to have that paperwork where they can see exactly what all's been done to it.
Yep. There ain't no telling how many times I've seen it. People have a handwritten log book of maintenance service books, and people look at that, prior to getting ready to bid on it, and it adds thousands to the price when the hammer falls. It adds to the price of the equipment or truck or whatever.
That's right.
It tells the buyer, it wasn't abused. Somebody cared for their equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same goes for titles and manuals. If it's titled, bring the title. Have the VIN or the serial number ready, and have it all there in a folder, and turn it into the office when you check in your equipment, because that stuff there, it kind of slows the process down, and if it's missing, especially if it's a vehicle or a semi or UTV or something of that nature. If it's supposed to have a title or supposed to have a certificate of origin or that kind of nature, that kind of puts a hold on some of the buyers. Some of those guys, they're pretty sticklers about that. And so, be sure to have all of that stuff ready to go when you show up to check it in.
Yep. It also helps with financing. If a buyer needs to show records or to their lender, it helps speed the process up, and the lender's a little bit more lenient to go with that deal versus having to hunt and peck to get everything together.
To do it on a bill of sale.
That's right.
Yep. Good records also, reduces the post sale disputes and less confusion, and it just makes the closing smoother. when you get ready to close on a deal.
A lot of sellers ask, should I set a reserve?
Yeah, I think it depends. Obviously for high dollar unique items, a reserve can protect your investment. You got a big combine out there, or a big, a new D5 or something of that nature, that's got a pretty high ticket on it. But for a common or mid-range equipment, no reserve often brings more bidders and better momentum. They don't. I feel like a lot of buyers kind of have a hesitation on some of the quote unquote average equipment that's got reserves. It's kind of like, why even bother bidding? Especially on the online side of things. If just an average 10-year-old tractor or something of that nature, has got a reserve on it, I think it may kind of hold people back from even trying to, like, why bother? Why waste my time? Because they probably want more than what it's worth.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the buyer's mentality that I perceive. But y'all two are a lot more experienced than I am on that. So y'all may can enlighten us a little better on the reserve versus no reserve there.
Well, I've seen a no reserve listing. 9 times out of 10, it's going to outperform one with a reserve. Simply because people know that they gonna get it bought when the hammer falls. When it gets everybody excited. And that people show up, they ready to compete. They know they're gonna get it bought. There's no jacking around and playing games and all that mess. They know it's an absolute sale, and when the hammer falls, we're gonna get it.
And trust your auctioneer. We want you to get the best price for your equipment. A reserve that's too high may cause bidders to shy away. And like I said, trust your auctioneers. Trust us. Whenever, bring the equipment in, let us market it, let us advertise it. We're working for you. You're the seller. That's the reason our structures are structured the way that they are. We charge a seller's fee. We're working for you to get you the most money at the end of the day for your equipment. And being we're working for you, that's who we like to get paid by who we're working for. And we're working for you to get you the most money for your equipment. We don't want just somebody to buy it just so we can get paid. We're wanting you to get the most so we can get something out of the deal.
That's right. And this here may be a hard pill to swallow for some guys, because when you bought that equipment new or it was handed down through generations, don't get too attached to the equipment. Remember, you brought it to the auction for a reason. So let the market work. You finally made the decision that you either needed to upgrade, or you needed a bigger piece, or you needed to downsize, whatever the case may be. So don't let your emotions just weigh too heavy on that reserve, no reserve. So don't be so attached to it.
Yeah.
Once you finally make that decision to bring it to us, just go ahead and say your goodbyes and let us do what we can for you.
That's right. A lot of times I've seen, people put a reserve on it and then they wind up and buy it back, or, don't sell it. And then they say, man, I wish I'd have sold it. Always, most of the time, your first run is your best run. But if you're not sure, talk it over with the auction team. They'll help you make the best decision and the best call, and based on your goals, and help you get the most for your equipment. So if you're unsure, talk it over with the auction team. They'll guide you in the right way.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, and Chad, you mentioned this earlier, man. Ryle's equipment auction, they are superior. They're top notch. They're full of integrity. They're honest. They're upright. And as Garrett mentioned a while ago, we're here for the sellers. We're here for the buyers too, but we're here for the sellers first most. We want to get you the best bang for your buck, and that's why at Riles we really push your equipment all over the U.S., all over the country, and try to get it advertised out there to get that reach to everybody that's in the market. And so, Chad, before we wrap things up, before we kind of bring this to a close, I've got to know, you've got we'll say 20 plus years, so we don't get into the hard numbers there, but you've got 20 plus years in the auctioneer industry. There's got to be a story that just sticks out, that's one of your go-to stories of the auction industry, that's just been that the story of a lifetime. So give us a story of a lifetime here of your experience in the auctioneer industry.
I guess the most memorable thing that I remember as a young auctioneer got started. I'm not going to say the place I was working at the time, but
Yeah.
I was a very young auctioneer. Give me a chance to get up behind the microphone and sell. And I remember it was a $600,000 crane that we were selling, and getting up there to sell it and trying to sell those numbers, and the 600,000 numbers. It was really nerve wracking. But I remember that as we were selling it. And before that, I'm looking at my stuff I had to sell and look at the numbers and stuff, and I seen that crane on there that was $600,000 with the floor on it, and I was really wondering how I was going to be able to say those numbers as I was selling it. And but anyway, we got it done, and I think it brought like $615,000. But I got it done, worked out really good, and but I was nervous. But I guess that's one of my most memorable things that in the auction industry that I've ever sold, is remembering that crane that we were selling that day for $600,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting when you start rattling off numbers in those figures. That has to be quite an adrenaline rush, especially for a young auctioneer. You know that you start your chant, and you starting in those six digits. You know, that's got to be definitely an exciting moment for sure.
That's kind of, somebody took a lot of trust in an auction just to sell something of that dollar amount value wise.
Right.
The most expensive things in the world are sold at auctions. That's if you think about it, sports memorabilia, paintings, all the most expensive stuff are sold at auction.
Sport cars,
yeah.
antique cars, and antiques in general, furniture.
The auction process works if you trust it.
That's right. Yeah. If you're on the fence about trying the auction, you know, if you've got some equipment that or vehicles or whatever that you're ready to part ways with, and you're on the fence about taking them to an auction, go ahead and take a step of faith, because like Garrett says, some of the most expensive things are sold at auction, and there's a reason for that, is because the auction creates an environment, it creates an energy, and it creates a competitive market where buyers are trying to beat one another out on an item. And you know, you don't really get that from the yard sale, from the marketplace, because when you're talking about an auction, and a good auction at that, there's going to be multiple number of buyers that are interested in that product at that very moment. And so that's what drives the market up. That's what drives the price up. And so if you're on the fence, just go ahead and lean just a bit, and go ahead and fall off of it. And rest assured that especially Ryle's Auction will be there to catch you and help you in the process, and guide you to a successful experience anyway. Man, Chad, thanks again for joining us. Some great stories, some great insights today. You've definitely brought an interesting perspective to the auction block, and we sure appreciate you guest starring with us today.
I appreciate y'all letting me get on here, and appreciate y'all having me and giving me the opportunity to get on here and talk with y'all about the auction industry, something that I love. And all the Riles Auction Group, they're fine people to do business with, and I appreciate y'all giving me the opportunity to get on y'all's podcast.
Whether you're cleaning a tractor or pulling maintenance logs out of your shop drawer, we encourage you to come be with us June the 7th in Hickory Flat, Mississippi.
Like, share, and subscribe to the Auction Block. Next week, we'll be talking about online versus in-person auctions, pros, cons, and how to win from your screen. That's it from the Auction Block. We're going to keep it straight from the block.
Yep. Like I said, next sale is June the 7th, Hickory Flat, Mississippi. We're taking consignments now, and we'd love to earn your business. Chad will be there that day. You can come meet him in person. Ben will be there. I'll be there. June the 7th, Hickory Flat. If you've got questions, give us a call, 662-274-4708. Y'all keep it real, and we appreciate it.